Patrick here with Esser Growth Principles. So I'm sure everyone saw the 2 simple steps on making your first 100,000, and it might sound like a scam at first, but when you really get into it, it's quite simple. I'm going to give you the secret tips right away. There's 2, and you're going to laugh when you hear these, but quite simply, at its core, this is all it takes. Ready? Step 1: make more money. That's it. Start making more money, whether it's more hours, more pay, anything like that. Anything you can do to boost your income. Step 2. All right, here it is. Spend less. All right, there you go. There's your secret. If everybody uses that, you'll make your first 100,000 in a matter of no time. I know that sounds ridiculous, but really at its core, that's what it takes to earn and save money. Many of us, myself included, spend way too much money on things that we're not even aware of. Why that's important is when you learn where your money's going and you know where your income is at, you have a much better chance of developing an effective budget that allows you to spend accordingly. The next video I'm going to end up making has to do with investing. And while I'm not a professional investor, nor can I give investment advice, one thing I do know that's been time tested is cost dollar averaging and investing early on when you're young over the long term. That yields the best results. So why is that important, and how does it relate to a budget? Well, a budget allows you to define what your income and expenses are and clearly know where every dollar is going. That's important because if you don't have the money to put into investments, you're never going to reap the fruits of those investments in the long term. And I had the luxury very early on in my career of many senior coworkers explaining to me that getting into the market at a young age was extremely beneficial. One of the best tips or pieces of advice I was given by one of those senior members was to take as much as I could out of my first paycheck and allocate it into an investment because you'd never see that money again. And I went high at the time, being in my very early 20s, thinking I was putting a ton of money in, when in reality, looking back, I probably could have put in a little bit more, but it's hard. It's extremely difficult for us to want to take any raises or new money that we have, and maybe we haven't had a lot of nice things or a lot of new things in a while. We almost feel like we earned it, that we get to take our money and go out and buy those new things we want, which budgeting allows us to do. It just takes time. By starting a budget, it actually liberates you and allows you to spend money on those things that you planned on spending money on. It also allows you to save money and put aside money in categories where you know you're going to need it. For example, home repairs, unexpected auto repairs, those emergency type funds. So I know it may seem like a joke when I say that spending less and increasing your income are the simple tips to save for your first 100,000, but it really is it. That's the only secret right there. And every great investor or someone who has saved a large sum of money has started with knowing what they're spending and knowing what they're making. And many times we end up living paycheck to paycheck because we're using every single paycheck up in its max capacity, and we're not saving any dollars for ourselves. So I want to keep this video as short as I can without getting into the weeds too much. So for this one, I'm basically going to just explain a budget program that I use that helps me and has helped me over the years really be comfortable in where my money's going, what my money's doing, and where my expenses are. It's also allowed me and my family to adjust our income and expenditures throughout the years, depending on our job status, changes in our home life or situations. And it's just really been a positive thing that's helped us that I encourage everyone to check out. And if you're not interested in paying for a budget program, you can do this quite simply with a spreadsheet, an Excel spreadsheet, knowing what your income is and what your expenses are. And I'll go through that in a different video. So one of the programs that I use for budgeting is called You Need a Budget. I started using this in 2012. It was a great way to figure out how to budget our money and figure out where our expenses are going and where our income's coming from. And really what a budget is simply taking your total income, your revenue, and your total expenses on a certain amount of time, whether it's 2 weeks or a month, and balancing it. You want your expenses to be less than your income. And what that'll do is give you a net positive to start saving. So You Need a Budget. I believe it was free when I started using it, and it's gone up just negligibly in price here. I think it's about $100 a year right now. But what it is, they use this concept of giving every dollar a job. And quite simply, what that means is when you get your paycheck, you take your income and you assign it to your bills or your expenses that you're going to have coming up in the next couple of weeks. This could be a water bill, a car bill, a cell phone bill, gas, food, going out money, birthday money, really just anything you know you're going to need the money for in the next period of time. Over time, by doing this and building a savings out ahead, you end up saving a little bit of money long term, and you end up creating an age on your money. And the longer the age, the longer that dollar is able to sit in your bank account without needing to be used. Why is this important? So what this means is if you get paid today, but that money isn't needed for 6 months, that means you've got enough of a buffer built up that your dollars you're earning today can sit in the bank for 6 months before they're used. That's extremely important because today most people live paycheck to paycheck, and it's easy to see how we do that. We get paid, we pay our bills, and then we use the extra money for the things that we may need or want that maybe aren't a priority, but we've been waiting for a while, so we end up buying them. So by putting your money out, creating a budget, creating goals, what you end up doing is making your money last longer. And actually, it's extremely liberating when you're able to take your money that you put aside for a long time for something you've really wanted, and you finally get to buy it, because it's not the stress that comes with buying big purchases or having to make repairs. For example, we all know if you own a house or live in a house, you're going to have some repairs that come up, and nothing's more frustrated than having that happen right before a family vacation. You have a washer or a dryer or a large appliance that goes bad, you're out a few $100s. And that's if you can replace it yourself. It's even worse if you have to call somebody in to fix it for you. So what this does is it allows you to budget. For example, in my home budget right now, I like to keep about $1,000 in my emergency fund for home projects or home repairs. And that's the water heater, the washer, the dryer, really any of those unexpected expenses that you can't really plan for, but you don't want to ruin your day. So while I'm not sponsored or receiving anything from You Need a Budget, I would just encourage anyone to take a look at this. They do offer free 30-day trials. Their website is an amazing way to learn about how You Need a Budget works. You could do this on your own, though. You can create an Excel spreadsheet at home. I might make a video on that some other time, just a simple money in, money out Excel sheet. That's a great way to start budgeting for free. I know there's some other budget programs out there that you can look up and find. Some are free, some cost a little more, but I've really found You Need a Budget with their mobile app does a great job for what I needed to. And if I recall correctly, I think in our first 3 to 6 months of using this app, we saved about $6,000 in our household, which was a huge amount of money given the reduction in pay that I received when I went to a salaried position. So again, I encourage you to check this out, see if it works for you. All right, well, let's wrap this up. Let's hit on a couple of the main points of this video that I think are the takeaways that I feel are important and that hopefully you found valuable. First of all, I think that's knowing your income and expenses. By actually sitting down and figuring out where your money's coming and going, it really gives you a more solid understanding of what you can do with your money. Also, it allows you to prioritize and figure out what needs to be funded first and what maybe isn't a priority, and allows you to put that money towards a savings or an investment account. The next thing is setting aside that saved money for savings, whether it's long-term investments, savings accounts, rainy day funds. Those are all just really good ways to start saving in the long term and making sure your money works for you. If you like this video, please click like below. If you have questions or comments, I encourage you to add it below so we can hopefully get those answered. And if you like what you see, subscribe so I know that I can keep making these videos and that it's beneficial to all of you out there. So I'm going to put the link to You Need a Budget's website below, and I encourage you to check it out. Otherwise, thanks for watching.